All right, what up? So in this video, I'm going to show you how to, as a remote salesperson, use Instagram to find what a good business to be would sell for. So when you're doing outreach on Instagram, you're looking at all these different businesses, trying to decide, do I want to sell for this person? I'm going to show you how to figure out what a good business looks like, and you're going to do that through hacking their sales funnel. Now, this is going to be a very basic explanation for beginners, but it's also going to have some higher level info. And I also already made an in-depth video about this, how to figure out what a good business to sell for looks like using Instagram. But this is going to have some more difficult examples that I see beginners miss, like things that they miss when they're looking at profiles. So definitely go watch that other video. But this one is going to have some good info in it that's not in the other one. And again, this is going to be in the context of high ticket salespeople. So you're looking for a high ticket sales role. This is not an all inclusive video on funnel hacking. Okay, so if you're doing outreach and you're trying to get a remote sales job, you need to understand what a good business looks like. Okay, so what I'm not going to do though is go over top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, any of that stuff in terms of business. This is strictly just about remote sales. So what is a funnel? It's a sales funnel. Someone comes into the funnel and you funnel them through a sales process into buying your product. So a lead comes in and you want to funnel them eventually to a sales call and into buying. Now, when you're doing outreach, you'll need to be able to look at their funnel and determine what are they selling and is this a good business to sell for? So here are the first examples. All right, so this one is my boy Rob. And as you can see, like I told you in the other video, you want to come and look at their bio, obviously. I'm going to tell you what they're doing. As you can see, he does e-commerce. He's made a ton of money in e-commerce, sold a bunch of brands. And normally you would look for like a link to their VSL, to their video sales letter, or a link to their funnel, whatever. He doesn't really have that. He's just got a link to a Forbes article that was written about him, right? So you're like kind of looking at it, and it should be obvious that he makes a ton of money, but you don't really see a link to the funnel. So why is that? He's clearly selling something, but where's the funnel? If you scroll down and go to his reels or to anything else, whatever you want to call this, a lot of times they'll do these slideshows. You'll see here in the caption, right here, comment TTS below if you want my help launching a brand. So what he's doing is he's getting all these people to comment TTS, and when they do comment, guess who responds to that comment? Guess who messages them? The DM setter. So the DM setter will see everyone that commented and will send them a message. And the purpose of that is to basically see if they're a good fit for his coaching program. So the DM setter will basically pre-screen everybody, talk to them over messaging, and just see if they would be a good fit for his program. But a question that you probably want to know is like, well, why doesn't he just have like a link in his bio? Why doesn't he just like funnel them to a VSL? Why does he have a DM setter doing this? It really just, like the way that they do this, the way they do their funnel really just depends on what they're selling and kind of where they're at with the business. So if he was running like a marketing agency where he was doing like business to business and he was selling to them, you would absolutely see a video sales letter link in his bio. So there would be a link where you could click and there would be a long video sales letter talking about the marketing agency. You would definitely see that. But he's not doing that. He's running a coaching program. So with coaching programs, you will see this a lot where they will make a post and say, hey, comment, below, whatever, comment this word. And then all the people that do, they're kind of taking that as interest in the program. And then he will have his setter reach out and kind of screen through those people. So there's different ways that they set up their funnel, quote unquote, on Instagram. And this is one way that I see. So a lot of people will come across profiles like this and he's clearly like selling something, but then they won't message him or won't do any outreach because they didn't see a link in the bio that like went to a product. They're like, oh, well, maybe he's not selling something. And then they just don't do the outreach. But you got to look at all this other stuff. So this is another example of what a quote unquote funnel can look like that's not pasted in the bio. And another reason he's probably doing the DM thing is because I think he's pretty early on, not like super early on, but he's at the beginning stages of this coaching program maybe. So he's only trying to bring in people who he definitely can help succeed, which is what you do want to do anyway. You don't want to bring in like the people who aren't the right fit. So he's having his setter screen everybody up front. Whereas if you've got a link sending people to a VSL and you're capturing all of these people's information, like he's not trying to bring on like a ton of people or go through a ton of leads. So he's having his setter do that. At least that's what I think. Without seeing the inside of his business and what's going on, I don't really know. But that is one reason that that could be going on, where they're using the comment type funnel instead of having a video sales letter in the bio. Now, here's the second example. So another issue that I see a lot with people doing outreach is they will just come and look at followers. And they will see, oh, this dude has got 439 followers. He must be a dork. And then they won't message him, right? But that's completely wrong. I've told you guys before, like followers is the absolute worst metric to go on. Like I've seen people with millions of followers making no money and people like this guy who barely have any followers making a ton of money. This guy runs a company that helps businesses scale their business. So, and they're doing like $500K a month. So he's like absolutely fucking crushing it and he has no followers. Now, he's using other platforms to do that, but this is like still a good example, right? Now, you'll come down and you'll look at his stuff and you'll be like, well, let me check for the last thing that we looked at. And he's running the same thing, right? He's got comment, email, I'll send you more info, and you know, basically the same thing we went over in the last example. Now, this is 29 weeks old, right? And you're probably wondering, well, that's pretty old. Why is he not still posting? It's because they're crushing it so hard, he doesn't need to do that anymore. Like they're just getting referrals and stuff coming from other platforms. Like they've got plenty of business. Like he doesn't need to do that stuff. Whereas the previous example, he might be earlier on in that program where he's trying to get more people in. This guy, they're at 500K a month, like at least. So they're crushing it. He doesn't really need to do like comment on my post like to get leads, right? So again, it's all about like where they're at with the business. But what he does have is a link, right? So he's got this link here, which if you click on, internetmoneygroup.com. And this is the next mistake I see people make. So most people would come to this guy and be like, oh, he's got 440 followers, and he looks like he's not making any money or whatever, you know, which is a false assumption. And then they'll come down, they'll watch this video, and they'll click on this, which you should do. Okay, join now. Let's see how much this product costs. And what they're doing with this specific website and this specific program is showing you how to make your first $1,000 online. So let's see how much that costs. Opens up, takes you straight to a checkout, which there's no sales call. So you're like, that's interesting. No sales call? Then, maybe he doesn't have salespeople. That's their first false assumption, and then they just don't message this person. The second one is, it's only $35 per month. This is a low-ticket product. They obviously don't use a salesperson. I'm not selling low-ticket $35 products. And they see all these things, and they're like, this is a bad business. And then they jump away. However, that's wrong again. And the reason for that is because they're using this low-ticket product to get people in and then funnel them to a more expensive product. So let's say you bought this for $35 a month, and you went through the program, you started getting some success. They would funnel you up to their much more expensive program, which is like $10K. And guess what they have for that? Salespeople, right? So that's another thing is if you see people selling these really cheap products, that doesn't mean they don't have salespeople or they're not running a more expensive business. That's a low-ticket product that they're going to use to funnel you up to something more expensive later. And they will have salespeople taking those sales calls, selling the more expensive things, selling the $10K thing. So just because this guy has like a low amount of followers and you don't see him selling something expensive doesn't mean he doesn't have salespeople who are not crushing it, right? So these examples are what I see a lot of people do, is they'll do what I tell them to do to go and do outreach, but they will get hung up on all these little things like the followers, or I don't think this is a good product, or maybe it's not expensive enough, or maybe you don't have salespeople. But here I just showed you why all of that is bullshit, and why you need to avoid all that stuff. So remember, don't look for a ton of followers. Don't like scrutinize like so much what they're selling. Just now you kind of have a better understanding of like what this stuff looks like. You're able to tell, are they selling something expensive? Do they have salespeople? It's pretty obvious. Like if you watch the other video and you watch this one, like you should pretty much know what to do. And even at the end of the day, like I have people who come into my program who don't even like worry about this stuff, and they just do mass spam outreach and they succeed because they're not getting hung up on all this little like bullshit, right? They're not scrutinizing a profile and deciding whether or not they should send one message. They've already fired it and moved on to the next one. So keep that in mind. But when you look at these profiles, if at first glance you're like, oh, I don't know if this is a good person, look closer. Use the things I showed you in this video to figure that out, and you should be good to go. If you want my help getting one of these roles, getting into a remote sales role fast, hit the link in the description, schedule a call, and we can talk. Until next time.